Speedrun for what's my flight number? Go. The lambdas and VBA you can download at the description in the link. All right, departure city of the following flights. So this one here, I need the flight table, which is up here. So I just do XLOOKUP left, right? Because I just want the beginning of this. So the first three characters of that being looked up on here, returning the full city name is level 1. Now, text split this to turn these schedules into their flights. I also want to see the flights over here, right? So I'm going to do that lookup thing again. So look up this flight on the full city names locked and returning the airport code locked. Do this for all the departing and arriving, and then combine them to make that same code, right? So equals that and a hyphen in quotations. Those are the flight codes. So now if I do this, and then I look it up on this, returning here, gives me these, and then I'll do only numbers of F25, which is my lambda that I use to get rid of non-digits. All right, and that's level 2. So now I'm going to move on to level 3. So this, don't need the distance anymore. I still do need the flight. So in order to place these, I'm going to give them a serial number. It's not the same as the flight number. This is just the order that the flight is listed in the flight schedule. So a sequence of however many rows this is. So the sequence of however many rows this is the serial number. And then over here, I'm going to make flight numbers. The answer is the example's 107, so I'm going to assume that 500 is enough. So I'm going to test 500 flight numbers. So one at a time. So what am I going to try to place first? Always try to place number 1 first. So if I look up the serial number that I'm trying to place, is VLOOKUP. All right, XLOOKUP. That's the one I'm trying to place. I need to know 2 things. I need to know, is it in Canada? Is it going to or from Canada? And is it okay for Canada? Because the instructions say it's got to have a 7 in it if it is in Canada. So to know if it's in Canada, then it's going to be or the first character is Y, right? First character Y, that means Canada. So if or left of L25 equals Y, or the 5th character of L25. So if L25, the 5th character, just one length, if that is Y. So if either of those are Y, then it is Canadian. Is it okay for Canada? Well, that depends on whether the flight number has not a Y, but a 7 in it. Right, so count substring is greater than 0. So if it has 1 or more of those, then it's okay for Canada. Otherwise, it's not okay for Canada. So then to place the next, then I got to know if the flight gets placed or not. So it can either be placed here or not. So in order to get placed, it will be placed if either it is not a Canadian flight or if in 25, if it's okay for Canada, either of those are true, then it's going to be placed. Otherwise, it's not going to be placed. Then I got to check if we're done, right? So if and this flight got placed and the number we're trying to place equals the last number, right? Locked in place. If both of those are true, then we're done. Otherwise, we're not done. All right, so the next one to place is based on if we place the last one. So if we did not place the last one, then we still try to place it again. If we did place the last one, then we got to place the next one, right? The rest of this is the same here, except I got to lock my lookups. And then this goes all the way down here. If we placed it, then we move on. This is reversed. If we placed it, then we move on to the next one. Otherwise, we keep trying to place it, right? Because yeah, then this Canadian flight gets placed at 7, non-Canadian goes to 8, and so on. All right, so now if I look up when we're done on the flight numbers here, 107, which is the correct answer. Now we got to do something different. This level is actually quite different than the last one, so I'm gonna clear out everything. All right, so this one still start with X text split here. This one we're gonna place in order of departure, but the return flight has to be directly after. So the way we're gonna do is we're gonna pretend like the return flights have a departure time that's just a tiny bit after the corresponding departure time, and then that'll give us everything we need. So I got these flights. I need to know their departure times. So I can look that up on here. Gives me a decimal, which I like. So now I need to know what is the return flight time. So hex lookup, I got to reverse these, right? So the right of this, the right 3 characters of this plus a hyphen plus the left 3 characters of this without my ampersand, the left of F25 comma 3, right? So that's the reverse flight, and I look that up on these flights because these flights are the only ones that matter with that locked in place. And I look up the time also, right, with that locked in place. That's going to give me the return. And if there is no return, let's assign it 99. All right, there we go. So now the priority, to prioritize this, I either want whatever is lower between the departure time and just after the departure of the return flight. So H25 plus 00001. Right, so that will give me the priority. So now if I sort by, I want these flights and I want them sorted by the priority. And I want flight numbers that's equal to the number of rows of this. So now I look up flight number here on the list of flights here, and that's level 4. Level 5 is similar, but there's a lot of extra complications I got to deal with. So I'm gonna move this thing out so I can deal with the complications. First of all, I got to change these 4-digit airport codes into 3-digit airport codes, right? So first of all, I'm going to split these, not based on a comma, but based on a hyphen, right? And then I'm going to, well, first of all, if this is, if the length of it, So if the length of that airport code is a 3, then that's a good airport code and I want it. Otherwise, 25. Otherwise, I got to look up the good airport code 25. I mean, no, the bad one in that case, right? Because this is a bad one. So I look up the bad one, returning on the good one, right? And the same thing for this one. And then I'm going to make my code. So equals that and a hyphen in quotation marks and the arriving airport. So this has got to go all the way down here. Now I need to look up the distance because it says I got the airports correct, but now I need the distance because flights over 15,000 kilometers have been grounded. So if only numbers of L25 is greater than or equal to 15,000, then we cannot use this flight. Otherwise, I'm going to put the flight I'm going to put the flight, print the flight here to make a list of them. All right. So now if I do X2 call of these, my X2 call is a lambda that just, it skips the empty strings. Now these are good, except this is a variable list. So I got to do the rest of this array style. So I'm going to look up not F25, but I'm going to look up P25 array. All right. This next one here for the return flight, right? This left and right is fine to use for arrays. So that will give me that, but I got to use the correct one. It's got to be not F, but P, right? Because P is the corrected airport codes. And I look up on P, returning Q. And it's got to be the same, you know, Q25 array is the same as that. So now I got this. Priority, I got to do array style. So to take the minimum, I got to do by row H stack. These two, you know, and I need to add a little thingy here, plus, you know, a tiny bit. So now H stack of these, I want to do by row H stack, and I apply the minimum to each row. And now, no, don't copy down. I want this array style. By row H stack, these two have got to be the whole arrays, right? So now I got this. So now I just got to make this based on these. So now instead of hard coding the rows, because I don't know the rows, it's all got to be as an array. That's also as an array. And I think we got everything. So now I look up 52 on the flight numbers, returning the flight codes, and it's London to LAX. All right, 1,000 points so far means everything's right. Out of all the possible flights between 12 cities, how many are not on the airplane code? Well, how many flights are there between 12 cities? 12 times 11. So that minus the number of rows in the flight route is that. What is the most common destination in levels 1 to 4? So I got all my games here. I'll line up this stuff. I only want levels 1 to 4. So let's do, I'm going to join and then split. So I'm going to do X text split, text join. So I'm going to text join everything in level 4 and above. with a semicolon, right? Same as it has. And then I'm going to split it back up by the semicolon. And now I got everything stacked up. Which one do I care about? I want the destination. So I'm going to take the right 3 of this and put that in my frequency table subroutine, and it is Cape Town, but I need the city name, not the airport code. Cape Town city name. Flight numbers, multiples of 3 to Riga. Okay, so copy this. This is now going to be bonus 3. So I need to see if this one is going to Riga, first of all, right? So I'm going to say, how about I say if it's not going to Riga? So Riga ends in RAX. So if right of, oh, is it from Riga, not to Riga, from Riga. So if the left of this 3 characters is equal to RAX, then 0, otherwise 1, right? And what if it's, now is it okay for Riga? It's okay for Riga if this mod 3 equals 0, right? If it's divisible by 3, make that some 1s and 0s, make this an array. This all got to work with arrays. Then I can just add these together, right? So this array plus this array gives me this. And if this is 0, then it's a violation, right? So Riga can't be in 13, right? I know that's a violation. So I'm going to take the minimum of this to see if there's any illegal flights in my thing. Apply it to everything. There's only one legal one that doesn't break the rules. And that's 95. And that is time. 17 minutes, 12 seconds. Thank you for watching.